Hi guys and gals, it's Pete, Mindwiseman's channel, aka Maverick Outdoors, and today it's Akasha Safari Camping Canoe Dog. Canoe Dog. Got all excited when I started to pack the bags and bring some kit ready. She sensed straight away that we were going to do something, especially when her lead's put in the hallway. She knows she's coming with me. Are you saying hello? Yeah? Yeah, oh, it's so good getting out in the waters, having a chill time on this special Sunday, which is the 21st of June 2015, and it's supposed to be the longest day, summer solstice day. And although the sun's sort of gone behind the clouds a little bit, it's been really nice to paddle here. A little bit breezy, coming on the main stretch of the River Thames, but it looks like, you know, it's high pressure. The cloud's high as well, so even though it's quite clumpy, I don't think it's going to rain. But I bought some shelter kit anyway that I might get out and actually give you a spec on. But I'm going to unpack my bag now. As you can see, I just got my vest on because it was getting quite warm paddling. So I put my t-shirt on top of the bag, but always having waterproofs on top, so it's easy access if you do get caught out in the bad weather. A little bit of clean up stuff, but I'll show you some of the kit and some food. I've got some tortilla wraps and some spicy tangy chicken, which I'm going to be frying up for my summer solstice Sunday dinner. So if you follow my travels, you'll have seen this bag before. It's Dutch Army issue sleep roll mat bag. It's really sturdy, and it's sort of got like a waxed effect material on the inside to make it waterproof. I think it's actually synthetic, but it feels like waxed, and I use that quite a lot. And in that, it's the fixings for the basher, ground sheet, MTP tarp, the stool, trench tool if I need it, and heavy duty gloves. So I brought the basher with me just in case, tarp, in case of inclement weather, and I can either erect it on surrounding trees and branches, that sort of thing. It's not the best of sort of structures around here to use the trees, hence that's why I knew I was actually going to come here and bring my 4-section basher poles to make a little shelter unit, or a sit, what I call a little sit unit. Well, I'm going to start to get the rest of the kit out of that bag now and make some food, some yummy. Right, dog. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's good at it, Canoe Dog. Yeah, first time in ages. And it's a solstice sunny day. Yeah. Okay, so I've got the canoe, so none of this lightweight malarkey, faffing around with stuff and struggling to get by with the minimal of kit or food. As you know, I'm a big eater, so I brought a nice meal for me to eat on this Sunday afternoon, hence sort of like coming out, just getting some fresh air, getting out in the canoe after giving it a couple of other repairs. I was considering actually last night, or yesterday afternoon, leaving and taking this route and then actually pitching up here and spending the night here and just doing a bit of a wild camp on the riverbank, but circumstances dictated that wasn't going to be the case, so I wanted to make the most of today. So instant heat, instant cooking, lightweight, the whole of this tin and the gas stove attachment doesn't even come in at 350 grams, so that's much lighter than maybe taking a bottle of meths, which half a litre, 500 millilitres would be weighing a pound in weight, so that's 500 grams. So and it wouldn't even be lasting as long as a full can of the gas, so that's why I tend to use it. Plus as well, it's convenient. If I wanted to be a bit more sort of rustic and hardcore tactile, then I would have brought my Swedish Army cook kit with methylated spirit burner, or my firebox. I was considering actually bringing the firebox. It'd be different if I was staying out for a couple of days. Say if I'd have stayed out last night, then I'd have had time to procure some wood. And it'd been nice to have had some natural flames, but I just thought for this afternoon I just want it convenient so I can just make the most of relaxing outdoors. Fresh milk for the brew, tea bag, sugar, some biscuits, mug. Biscuits there as well. 2 litres of water to make a brew in my old faithful stainless steel kettle. The stainless steel mess tin that I'm going to be cooking up the chicken with. So I've got it just below a medium flame so it doesn't sort of scorch the veg, and as you can see it doesn't stick, especially this being a stainless steel mess tin as well. It's absolutely fantastic, much better than the aluminium ones. And you can see if you just keep it moving around, a little bit of a shake, a stir, then you know, it's just keeping an eye on it, using logic really, so you don't burn your food. But I'm going to let those soften down. I mean, it looks quite a big volume there, but once they actually get cooked through, it can reduce in sort of volume by from 1/3 to maybe 1/2 with onions and the green peppers. So then it will give me a bit of room. Once they've nearly cooked down, I'll then add the chicken and all the spices. As you could see, I've put the wind guard round it because of course it saves fuel. I did a flame test on a butane gas stove before, but if I was to take the wind guard away, the flame, you can just about see it because it's just below medium. It's not actually that easy to see, but I guarantee you if I was to lift that wind guard up and out the way, the flame would actually be blowing towards me. So it's keeping the flame direct and getting the most out of the fuel whilst the veg's cooking. You can see it's all starting to brown through now, and also you see sort of starting to reduce. So the next bit of this cooking tutorial will be when I add the chicken and the spices. So I've just taken the green peppers and the onions off the heat. They virtually cooked through now and softened. So what I'm going to do is then I'm going to add the chicken with the added spices and then start to cook that through. The spicy powder seasoning, I've only used about 1/2 to 2/3 of it because obviously I've only just used half a portion out of the whole pack. But I've moved the onions and the peppers away from where the main heat's going to be, because I'm going to pull this away a bit and just have the chicken on top of the main part of the flame, whilst the onions and green peppers remain warm but don't overcook or burn. In no way, shape or form do you want any of that chicken to be half cooked. So obviously if I'm going from pink to white and then touching it with a spoon, sensing the density of it, and know that you're actually cooking it all the way through, because you don't want to be getting any stomach bugs or any sort of illness from partially cooked chicken. Always tidy up as you go, then you can see what's about and what needs to be used as and when. But let's get that back on the heat. So now I've mixed it all in, the peppers, the onions, the sauce, the chicken, so now it's all going to blend and cook through. I'm not going to overcook it, but it's a little bit better to make sure you know you've definitely got it all cooked through, and it won't all get burnt, providing you keep stirring it. Meanwhile, camping canoe safari dog looks on with anticipation, but she's not going to get any of this, especially because it's got onion in it, and onions are toxic to dog. So I put in half the grated cheese, stirred it round a little bit. Now I'm going to put the rest in and give it a good old stir. Just give it that nice cheesy tang, and then eventually serve it up. in those tortilla wraps. 5-star cuisine, people. Yummy. Priceless. You can't really put a price tag on this. Where I am now, wind blowing in the trees, sun now has come out from behind the clouds. And we have a little canoe dog who's going to have a little bit of maybe a tortilla wrap in a moment, but no meat and veg. Wait on him. Oh. Ah, you went to give me your paw as well, didn't you? Yeah, canoe dog. So because I'm just out for the afternoon, I don't have to do any washing up. If I was going to use the mess tin again, which is just in that plastic bag, which I've then been able to put other things inside it, with the bags that I actually brought, then can recycle them by actually protecting any dirty bits of kit. That was the cheese container, so that's gone inside, so I can actually wash all that when I get home. But of course, if I had extra things to cook, then obviously I'd have brought some washing implement, a small bottle of detergent, washing up liquid, and a scourer. But what I tend to do, if you imagine my hand was a mess tin and I'd finished actually cooking and eating out of it, then I'd actually put some water in it and then bring it to the boil. And what tends to happen with the stainless steel cooking utensils, they tend to, when the water boils in the container, like a small saucepan, or in this case what would have been the mess tin, on top of whatever heating cooking device, where that would have been, the water would have actually started to boil in the container and start to take away some of the cooked on residue, and then just scrape it with a spoon rather than actually having to go through a whole wash load. Right, well, I'm going to get the kettle on now and make myself a brew, have a nice sweet cup of tea and some snacky bars and biscuits. Full throttle now with a butane gas cooker to boil up some water for a brew. But this kettle, say if you follow my journeys, you've seen this kettle, one of my favourites, stainless steel, used it loads of times. The capacity is just under a litre. I mean, it's classified as a litre kettle, but it's got about, I'd say about 900 millilitres, so 50 centilitres, half a litre, just under, about 450 millilitres. That makes a full brew in this mug, with really hot boiled water left over to sort of rinse out, like maybe in my mess tin, which I could have actually done it with a scourer and then just rinsed it out ready for the next time I was going to cook with it. Again, if you're new to my channel or you've not seen some of the past videos beyond a year, 18 months ago, you'll have seen me applying some of those techniques that I've just described. And I've been back here many times before, but that wasn't there where my double blade paddle is. That is, I think, the hull of a broken, dismantled boat, and I don't know who or why it was put there, but it's been there for about 3.5, 4 years. And again, if you followed my Maverick journeys right from the beginning, at the start of my channel, you'd have noticed quite a drastic change in the colour of the canoe. It was originally olive green, just sort of on that little corner you can see a little bit of it there, it's faded, but it was quite a rich olive green. But this mustard tan coyote brown effect was caused by, it would seem, a chemical reaction with some clay, some water that I was paddling through, and it got stained with some clay, and within about 6 months somehow the whole of the thing started to change colour, where it actually got soaked with water, where there was a residue runoff from some very clay. I've even had inquiries saying, where'd you get your Sevillor Colorado from? The tan one. It's like, no, it was originally green, but you can't actually get that specific model and make anymore. Although the newer designs have a different sort of seating arrangement to them, where the actual base of the seat where you'd actually sit on and the backrest are all one unit, and it goes on the flat floor. But I prefer this original design, because the ergonomic position just sort of raises your hips and your backside base of the spine, so then your legs can go just sort of like a little bit lower. But those two items, camping canoe dog, oi dog, doggy, yeah you, and the canoe have seen a fair few miles prior to my channel, and also since, well, I'd say since 2008 when I actually got that canoe. So if you haven't seen some of my original videos, the very first ones, where there was some long canoe journeys, staying out for 3-4 days at a time on different rivers, camping out on islands and riverbanks, then go back in time on the channel. Yeah, give it about, rewind about 18 months, and then anything prior to that, which tends to be the case if it's new subscribers that have just joined onto the channel and maybe haven't seen some of the earlier videos, which included some really good times and even more to come out in the canoe and doing some wild camping. I'm going to be back here to do an overnighter very soon. So that's less than 5 minutes getting that from cold water to a full boil. And that's the beauty of a self-contained butane gas stove, because you can regulate the flames on it like I was doing for the cooking the food. Turn that off. Like when I was doing it for cooking the food, but for boiling water. But if you've got something like methylated spirit and you're putting that in a meths burner, which is great, you know, but then you've got the concerns of maybe if the liquid leaks. Admittedly, you've got to look after the gas container, but for immediate response of cooking, just switch it on and it's on the go. But it is really nice if you've got time and to sort of chill, to source some wood, the tactile thing of an actual sort of wood fire. Either a small fire pit, or if you want something more sort of self-contained like my firebox stove, which I did a full review. Oh, hello dog. I'm not forgetting you. Yeah, you're a goodie. Yeah. So yeah, using something like the folding firebox stove, it's great because you can actually use other sources of fuel with it. And so I did a full review a couple of years back. So again, check out that video if you want to see more about the actual firebox stove. But I think I'll bring that with me next time when I know I'm going to be out overnight, and then I've got time to go and find scraps of wood and just have a nice little fire within the stove itself. But because I've got the canoe, and providing where I portage or have to put in, I don't have too far to walk. Like today, I parked my car 20 metres away from where I put the canoe in to start this little journey for this afternoon. So if you've got a short distance from where you put in and then you're unloading your stuff out your car or whatever form of transit that you've got to transport your kit before you take your journey, then it's not a problem. So down to brass tacks, that can carry whatever kit that makes your lifestyle outdoors worthwhile and a real pleasure to do. So I've just been drinking my brew. That was good timing. I was just about to say drinking my brew and listening to the bird song, the evening chorus if you want to call it that, and the sun just going down a little bit. Cloud cover's coming over, but hopefully it will hold off too high for it to maybe be rainy. There's a different sort of feeling in the air where I don't think we're going to have any rain. If it is, just be a few spots, so I won't get caught out paddling back. But anyway, I'm going to finish my brew now and just explain briefly the stuff that I brought with me and why I brought it. Anyway, cheers. Okay, quick summary to tell you what was in the main part of the rucksack. Just Possible's pouch there. I've got this from a charity shop, only £2. I don't know what it was. I think it is actually Euro hike, so it's some sort of little travel bag. But in there I've got utility strap, fire steel, whistle, tin opener, striker. Always have that on my person. Also a head torch is in there, and my Monarch torch, which can go on my belt, my waist if I want to. Leatherman multi-tool, and also a sharpening stone for my knife. So I know I was only out for the afternoon, but if something were to happen, remember this is an inflatable canoe, if there was an accident and it deflates, I could be in the middle of nowhere and I've got to put up with contending with that emergency time. So hence some of the stuff that I've actually brought, and again, the canoe I can carry. That was all the food stuff. Kitchen roll, used plenty of that this afternoon. Kettles in there, first aid kit, saw if I did need to procure wood, and my Jacklaw prototype, which I was sent before Sandy went into the big time, but say you've seen that before as well. Wet wipes, obvious reasons, and also a towel. Wet wipes and a towel, well yeah, because that's to clean, and if I get soaking wet, not from needing a wash, but I'm in the water, not literally, but in a canoe, so I can get wet. Or if Karsha gets wet and I need to sort of douche her down and then dry her, get hot and perspire, I can use this. It's lightweight, it weighs next to nothing, so I always take this with me, or at least something similar to this wherever I go. If you get wet and then your body chills down, the wetness will actually make you get colder much quicker, so there could be a chance of hypothermia. The chances of that happening, unless you're somewhere Arctic or really freezing cold temperatures, but it's just very uncomfortable. I know now it's getting a little bit chilly. If I got soaking wet and then my body cooled down, I'm going to be uncomfortably cold. So again, not just to dry after you've had a wash, but if you get unexpectedly wet and you need to dry yourself off, hence bring it. And if we want to go even more emergency, this is a 4 blanket, but it's actually lined with a reinforced paper. So in an emergency, if you get cold and wet, this will actually absorb the dampness off you, so it actually works more efficiently than just a 4 blanket around your body. And again, I have mentioned this before, this was given to me kindly by Roach, Armoured Cockroach, when I first met him. Oh, crumbs, about 4 years ago when we did the National Geographic documentary, and I met up at his retreat and he gave me 2 of these, and I always keep this whenever I'm going in that. So I've started to put some of the kit back in the bag, so it's all ready to be packed away and then put in the canoe. So you've always got stuff always being prepared for the unexpected. So the emergency 4 blanket is one of the final things to be put in case I need access to it. Waterproof leggings, and then my waterproof jacket, all on top, so they're easiest to get to if the weather turns inclement. I'll just be a little bit more in depth about this rucksack. Actually, I've had it since 2008, and it's really sturdy. It's got like literally it's sort of made out of plastic material with the sort of cordura effect on the outside, but it's very waterproof obviously except for the seams, but it's really sturdy and hardy. It's got a reinforced base to it. I've really got this specifically for using with the canoe, so it's got all around the base and edging reinforced with a few D-clips around it, but so it's a really sturdy rucksack. But on one of the 2 side pouches is the wind guard, and then Hexi stove, which I could bring. As I say, I didn't have to worry about having an extra light kit, so I brought that with me in case there was a failure with the gas stove. Fire lighting kit, binoculars, and a homemade little dog waterproof coat, which is always on the top, same as my stuff if Karsh needs it. And again, at the end of the day, if there was a last resort emergency, I know I've got the facilities to actually start and light a fire. All nicely sealed in a waterproof container, and with a lanyard if I wanted to hang it around my neck or attach it to anything else. So all of that is in that pouch, and in this one is the butane gas container and the stove attachment that fits on top. And of course, either side of the lid are 2 large D-rings which I attach my drinking bottle that I want access to while I'm actually out and about, and then of course the other side, the other D-ring on the lateral side of the rucksack is Karsha's drink bottle, which folds up from the little hinge area there and then fills up in the blue container that the bottle sits in. And then of course a bungee cord. Plenty of space to put one there, so might as well put it there. Final couple of specs on the old ruck. Padded shoulder straps. It hasn't got any sort of reinforced or sort of aerated back, but it's also got a waist strap as well, and also one that goes across this horizontal across the solar plexus. But what I've done is I've sort of like got rid of all the looseness, so it's not all hanging around, it can't snag on anything, and then I can just lift it up and down, so there's the least amount of stuff hanging loose off of it, except for the bottles at the side. I'll do it another time, but what I was considering using this 2.5 metre by 2.2 British Army issue MTP tarp with all the reinforced loops on it and the stretcher bearing handles and what have you, was if it had been inclement weather, at least I could have used this to sort of protect myself from the rain. But knowing this little spot on the riverbank, I was contemplating making it half the length of the ridge. As I say, I'll explain it another time when I actually go to construct it, but where it's sort of like a little A shape where you can just sit underneath it and it's only half the length of the actual full length of the tarp, and one end of it will be closed in, so you'd have two upright basher poles, which are these ones. So it's four of these that make one of these 4-section pole. This was originally a much larger pole, it was 6 foot, but because I wanted it to either fit into side pouches of rucksacks or my shelter kit bag, where you can see the length of this one was nearly 18 inches, so I cut off, I actually amended them and improvised them myself and actually made them into much shorter parts. So I could actually have, this is a 4-part, but I could actually have it much higher as a 5 or 6, so out of the total of 8 of these, I can make a permutation of 2 4s, a 1 6 and 1 2, or a 5 and a 3, but that will make more sense when I use them with this configuration I'm going to do at a later date. But here's some pictures of the process of when I got those poles originally in their original size to how I actually amended them and actually made them into what I've just shown you. So, the sectional poles, homemade mallet. You could have seen this when I did Brecon Beacons and christened it. You can see it's got a bit of a batter in, but it's still holding its own, and it's had taken quite a bit of bashing. Some normal steel ground pegs, a couple of clip-ons, some bungees, and some extra paracord. Albeit, on all the fixing points on this tarp, I've already got paracord fixed to it. So as soon as the tarp's taken out the bag, I can actually fix it straight away without actually having to get odd bits of paracord to then fix onto the loops. These two bungees were actually separate from being in this bag, they went straight into that one. But I normally keep one either side of the D-rings always fitted to my canoe rucksack, just for a basis of good practice. So I've prussicked that one back on, so I've now got 2. One either side of the rucksack. Really sturdy sort of suede cowhide gloves. I got these from Wilkinson's, I think they're about £3.50, and I've had them for like 18 months, and I've picked up dead wood, wet wood, hot wood from the coals, you could see from a couple of the scorch marks, and they've really held. They're not thermal of course, but they're really sturdy gloves and really good quality, and they've really taken a hammering. And what I did was I plugged 2 eyelets with an eyelet making kit, and then a carabiner, so that I can attach them to your waist, to your belt, or any other D-ring, to any other bit of kit. But all of this stuff here, that's got to go back in there. Tripod stool, tarp, just in case, digging fire pit or anything else that takes your imagination, gloves, will all go back into that bag. Simple El Cheapo from the pound shop, 6 foot by 4 foot ground sheet. I can either lay on it or put stuff on it or sit on it, so I brought that with me as well, which of course goes hand in hand with a basher tarp. And finally, the folding kneeling pad. If you haven't got kneeling pads you're not wearing actually on your legs, I've got a pair but I didn't bring them, then protect your knees, because you never know, it might look soft and grassy or muddy, but the amount of times where you can actually kneel down and find that something just happens to be right in a position to dig in your knee. So it's always worthwhile having something, and again, it weighs nothing and it hardly takes up any space. and for the practicality and its use, far outweighs. And my rubbish, which I've now taken from the specially designed waste disposal hook, I'll just wrap up in another bag just there, and then just put it on the top of my shelter kit carry bag. And finally, just last little bit of kit carry, something that I always keep on my person, especially when I'm in the canoe, is to have a bum bag or fanny bag, whatever you want to call it, a waist connected pouch system where I have my wallet, a small multi-tool. This is actually used for when I have to take the stoppers out of some of the areas that need to be inflated on the canoe. So that's always in there. My wallet, my keys, cigarette lighter, mirror. So that's all securely zipped in there. Then my phone is here. And then there's another little compartment here, which this fixes to within this back part of the pouch system. But I always keep something like this on me all the time, because if something happened where I had to bail out the canoe or there was a problem, I lose any kit or anything like that because it hasn't got a flotation device, then at least I know this is with me wherever I go. This stuff that stays around my waist is of primary importance: ID, keys, money, that sort of thing. I have done it before when I've actually been on a longer overnight excursion on the rivers, where I've actually connected my kit to some of the D-rings so that nothing could actually go overboard and sink or go in the water independently, so there's always a connection. But I'm going to be redoing that once I start taking longer journeys again. As always, this is just giving ideas. I'm not telling anyone how to do it, how they've got to sort of pack their kit, how they've got to go about being out on the waters with their canoe. Mind you, I have over the past 6 months, because I haven't been on the rivers that much with the canoe, people saying, when are you going out next? Maverick Explorer, as it was christened in a video a few years back, and a few people have actually cottoned on to that's the name of the canoe that I've nicknamed it. But it's just giving ideas, what works for me. As I say, maybe I didn't have to bring half this kit that I brought today, but I wanted to explain some of the reasons why I take it with me, even if I'm not going to actually use it in a particular situation like today's activity. But being in a place like this, it's good practice to always be prepared for any unexpected eventualities. Okay, so you can see I've actually landed the canoe, put it on the riverbank, and because the temperature's dropped and air shrinks, this has just got a little bit softer, and it's not the normal navigational pressure I have it. And because it's got a bit cooler and the air shrinks, it's made this a little bit less inflated. So I'm going to put some air back in it and bring it up to its normal pressure that it would have been when the air was expanded, when it was warmer earlier on. Right, so I'm now going to reload the canoe and get myself in it with a Kasha camping canoe today, dog, and get my way back down this little backwater and onto the main part of the old dark River Thames. So the canoe's all kitted up once more, heavier stuff at the front, shelter kit, what have you, just fits into that nice little sort of V shape there, and then the main rucksack. But of course, having the stuff in the front rather than heavy stuff at the back. And again, I've covered this before when I did the canoe kit load carry video, which of course I'm in the sort of rear half, so you want to balance it out so it's as even keel as possible. So it's started to get a little bit overcast now. It's coming up to nearly 8:30 at night, so I've got about around about an hour's paddling to get back to where I put in, so I should get back there just before it gets dusky dark. But it'll be quite nice if the rain holds off. It'll just be nice to paddle back as the sun starts to go down on this longest sunny day of the year. So to summarise, this video was simply just sharing an afternoon out on the rivers. A couple of things that I do as far as cooking, a little bit of cooking tutorial there, and some other high spec on bits of kit, and the nature of today's event of just coming out for the afternoon and what I felt was appropriate, and the birds. And again, sharing ideas of my kit, especially, I mean, it can change from the circumstances or where you're going, but I normally have a basic rule of thumb from either just going out for the afternoon or the day or doing an overnighter. It sort of expands from the kit that I've actually showed you today. Canoe dog, you ready to go home now? Yeah, we're going to paddle back. We've got just about an hour's paddle back onto the old dark, and we're off down that way. So thanks for watching, really appreciate your interest. Hope you got something from this video, even if it's just simple entertainment or getting some information from it, and I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers, take care.